In 2004, a scientist was found dead outside his home just days before publishing research on unlimited free energy. Police called it a robbery, but nothing was stolen. His research vanished. This is one of 5 scientists who died or disappeared mysteriously right after making discoveries that threaten billion-dollar industries. The pattern is disturbing, and by the end of this video, you'll question everything you thought you knew about scientific progress. Scientist number 1. Eugene Malov, the cold fusion researcher. Let's start with the most recent and perhaps most suspicious case. Eugene Malov was a brilliant MIT-trained scientist and science writer who worked at MIT's Plasma Fusion Center. But in the 1990s, he became convinced that cold fusion nuclear fusion at room temperature was real and being systematically suppressed. Cold fusion, if real, would mean unlimited clean energy for virtually no cost. No oil, no coal, no trillion-dollar energy industry, just cheap, abundant power that anyone could access. Malov dedicated his life to proving it worked. He founded a magazine called Infinite Energy, published research, and was about to release a comprehensive paper documenting successful cold fusion experiments from labs around the world. Then, on May 14, 2004, he was found beaten to death outside a rental property he owned in Norwich, Connecticut. Police quickly called it a botched robbery by a tenant. But here's what doesn't add up. Nothing was stolen. His wallet, watch, and car were untouched. And most critically, the research documents he was carrying, gone. The suspects arrested had no clear motive, no connection to Malov's work, and many in the scientific community believed the case was closed too quickly. Malov's colleague, Dr. Mitchell Swartz, stated, "The timing was too perfect. Days before the biggest publication of his career, and he's dead." Was Eugene Malov killed for threatening a multi-trillion-dollar energy industry? The question remains unanswered. Now, if the suppression of scientific discoveries fascinates you and you want to explore the darker side of scientific history, I highly recommend the Great Courses Plus. They have incredible courses. I've linked a free trial in the description. Scientist number 2, Ettore Majorana, the nuclear physicist who vanished. Now let's go back to 1938, right before World War II, when the race for nuclear weapons was beginning. Ettore Majorana was an Italian theoretical physicist and one of the greatest minds of his generation. He worked alongside Enrico Fermi and made groundbreaking contributions to nuclear physics, particularly in understanding neutrons and nuclear reactions. His work was so advanced that some historians believe he may have realized the potential for nuclear weapons years before the Manhattan Project. On March 25, 1938, Majorana boarded a ship from Palermo to Naples. He had bought a ticket, sent a cryptic letter to his family saying, "Don't worry about me," and boarded the vessel. He was never seen again. No body was ever found. No confirmed sightings, just gone. Here's where it gets even stranger. Shortly before his disappearance, Majorana had withdrawn all his money from the bank and seemed increasingly disturbed about the direction of nuclear physics research. Some believe he realized nuclear weapons were possible and couldn't live with that knowledge. Others think he faked his death and fled, possibly to South America, where alleged sightings occurred for decades. But the most disturbing theory, that he was disappeared by a government or intelligence agency that wanted either his knowledge or his silence. The Italian government officially declared him dead in 1975, but his family never believed it. His sister Maria said Ettore knew something that made him dangerous. Declassified documents from the 1950s show that both Allied and Soviet intelligence agencies searched for Majorana for years after the war. Why would they hunt for a dead man? Scientist number 3, James McDonald, the UFO scientist. This case is different because we know how it ended, but why it ended remains deeply suspicious. Dr. James McDonald was a highly respected atmospheric physicist at the University of Arizona. His work on cloud physics and atmospheric science was groundbreaking and widely cited, but in the 1960s, McDonald became convinced that UFOs deserved serious scientific investigation. And he wasn't a conspiracy theorist, he was a rigorous scientist using data, physics, and the scientific method. He testified before Congress in 1968, presenting radar data, pilot testimonies, and physical evidence that could not be easily explained. He called for open, transparent research into aerial phenomena. Then the attacks began. His funding was cut. Colleagues distanced themselves. The media mocked him. His reputation, built over decades, was systematically destroyed. And then on June 13, 1971, James McDonald was found dead in the Arizona desert with a gunshot wound to the head. Ruled a suicide, but many who knew him don't believe it. His colleague Dr. Alan Hynek stated, "Jim was not suicidal. He was angry, yes, frustrated. But he had too much work left to do. Just weeks before his death, McDonald had been scheduled to testify again before Congress about government UFO secrecy. That testimony never happened. Was James McDonald silenced for asking uncomfortable questions? Or did the systematic destruction of his career push him to a breaking point? The answer depends on who you ask, but the timing remains deeply suspicious. Scientist number 4, Nikola Tesla, the inventor who died in poverty. You probably know the name Nikola Tesla, but what you might not know is how he died and what happened immediately after. Tesla was one of history's greatest inventors. He pioneered AC electricity, wireless communication, and worked on technologies that seemed almost magical: wireless power transmission, directed energy weapons, and free energy systems. But by the 1940s, Tesla was broke, living alone in a New York hotel room, and largely forgotten by the world he helped create. On January 7, 1943, Tesla was found dead in his room at age 86. The official cause was coronary thrombosis, a heart attack, nothing suspicious, right? Except for what happened next. Within hours of his death, the FBI arrived and seized all of Tesla's papers, research notes, and prototypes. The government claimed it was routine seizure of a foreign national's property during wartime, but the speed and secrecy were unusual. The FBI called in MIT professor John G. Trump to review the papers and determine if any posed a national security threat. Trump's official report stated the papers were primarily speculative and philosophical, with no workable devices. But here's the problem: many of Tesla's papers have never been released. To this day, classified documents related to Tesla's work remain sealed. What was in those papers? Free energy technology that would collapse the oil industry? Directed energy weapons? Wireless power transmission that would make electrical grids obsolete? We may never know. But the fact that the US government seized and classified the life's work of a harmless old inventor suggests Tesla knew something they didn't want public. Scientist number 5, Morris Jessup, the astrophysicist and the Philadelphia experiment. Our final case is perhaps the most bizarre, because it involves not just a disappearance, but allegations of secret government experiments. Morris K. Jessup was an astronomer and astrophysicist who worked on solar system dynamics and published respected academic research in the 1930s and 40s. But after World War II, Jessup became obsessed with unidentified flying objects and alleged secret military experiments. Specifically, something called the Philadelphia experiment, an alleged Navy experiment in 1943 that reportedly made a destroyer escort, the USS Eldridge, invisible. Jessup claimed to have evidence that the experiment was real, and that the Navy had achieved some form of electromagnetic field manipulation that had catastrophic effects on the crew. Then, in 1959, Jessup began receiving strange letters from someone who seemed to have inside knowledge of military experiments. These letters, now known as the Vero edition, were annotated copies of Jessup's book with technical details no civilian should know. The Office of Naval Research was so disturbed by these letters that they conducted an investigation into Jessup and the mysterious writer. Shortly after, Jessup's behavior changed. Friends said he seemed paranoid, frightened. He told colleagues he was being followed. On April 20th, 1959, Morris Jessup was found dead in his car in Dade County, Florida. A hose ran from the exhaust pipe into the vehicle, carbon monoxide poisoning. The death was ruled a suicide, but the circumstances were strange. Jessup had recently told friends he had evidence he was about to publish. His death came just days before a planned meeting with a researcher about classified Navy projects. There were inconsistencies in the police report. Some witnesses claimed the car doors were locked from the outside. Jessup's colleague Dr. Valentine stated, Morris was excited about his work. He had something to prove. He wasn't suicidal. He was determined. Was Morris Jessup silenced for getting too close to classified military technology? Or did the stress of paranoia and professional ridicule drive him to end his life? Like the other cases, the answer is lost to time. So what connects these 5 scientists? They all worked on technologies or knowledge that threatened established power structures. Eugene Malove, unlimited free energy, threatens fossil fuel industry. Ettore Majorana, nuclear weapons knowledge, threatens military secrecy. James McDonald, government UFO secrecy, threatens official narratives. Nikola Tesla, free energy and wireless power, threatens electrical monopolies. Morris Jessup, classified military experiments, threatens defense secrecy. And they all died or disappeared under circumstances that were never fully explained. These 5 cases represent just a fraction of scientists whose deaths or disappearances raise uncomfortable questions. Were they all murdered or silenced? Probably not. But were some of them targeted for what they knew? The evidence suggests it's possible, even likely. The uncomfortable truth is that scientific progress doesn't always serve those in power, and when knowledge threatens control, whether economic, political, or military, that knowledge becomes dangerous. If you found this disturbing, please like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments, which case do you find most suspicious? And are there other scientists whose deaths you think deserve investigation? And if you want to explore more about scientific controversies and the politics of knowledge, check out the Great Courses Plus. There's a free trial link in the description. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning. And remember, some truths are dangerous,